I'm Chase.
And I'm Andrew.
We're a third-generation family business all about farm fresh food and fun.
Welcome to the Stew Leonard's Legendary Podcast.
Today's episode is
The customer is always right. It's
Number one rule we recite.
We promised Wendy we weren't going to sing, but
I promised I couldn't. So
we had to jump in there.
We had to. So that's one of the songs from our animation shows, actually. A customer service song. But in one of the episodes with Stu, we touched on customer service at Stew Leonard's. And they're synonymous. They go hand in hand. And at one point, like, Stew's became a phenomenon for customer service, right?
yes, crazily I was there.
You were there, and you're going to tell us all about it today.
So we have, let's just give a little background on Wendy real quick. But this is, you really are legendary, Stew Leonard's. You go way back to really the beginning.
Yes, well, I was hired in 1982. So I worked for your grandpa.
Such a legend to even consider. And I learned about the business from him directly. So I've worked for every generation, worked with every generation. But I was downstairs on the store floor when Tom Peters was writing about us, and 2020 came to film about that little grocery store in Norwalk, Connecticut that was creating such buzz. So I am a witness to it.
But you started in 1982 as a cashier, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
And you worked your way, tell a little bit about, your history at Stew's and, how you worked your way up the ladder a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
I applied for a job in 1982. I had two little kids at home, and I needed a job that was close to work, close to my home. I needed to walk to work. My husband and I had one car. He used it to get to work. I needed to be close to our children. And Stew Leonard's just fit the bill. I filled out an application, and I started literally 2 days later in August of 1982, which will be 41 years ago next month.
Wow.
41 years.
Yes, amazing.
And the cool thing about that is there's a lot of people at Stew's who have a tenure like that.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
unusual in general, but it's not super
I am
unusual
not
at
the
Stew
longest tenured team member. I am not. I'm in the top 10,
Yeah.
but I am not the longest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Wendy, starting as a cashier and then today, talk a little bit about what you do, but you started with customer service really because you were interacting.
did.
That's one of the crucial customer service roles is
Yes.
being a cashier. But
Well, if you
were
think
like
about
the
it,
original.
the cashiers, you're guaranteed to have a conversation with the customer. We can hope that there's interaction as the customers walk through the store, but the cashiers, absolutely, there's going to be a conversation. They can interact with the children. They can make or break the relationship, and we always taught from day one that they held the reputation of Stew Leonard's in the palm of their hand. And we wanted to make sure that we reminded them of that all along because, in 1982, much like 1969, Stu Sr. was at the front door, literally at the front door, had skin in the game, shaking everyone's hand. How did you like this? How did you like that? We brought in a new product. How did you like the taste of it? And now, as we've grown through the years, it's all of us. We put on our Stew Leonard's logo, our Stew Leonard's t-shirt, and we show up to work. Now we are the reputation. It's bigger than anything I imagine he could have wished for.
Yeah. So when you go to Stew Leonard's, for anyone who hasn't been, there's this rock at the front door. And we've touched on this in the other episode, but it's our customer service policy. Rule 1, the customer is always right.
Yes.
Rule 2, if the customer is ever wrong, reread Rule 1. So tell us a little bit, because this is kind of what created all that buzz you were talking about. There were 3 to 4 tours a month coming through Stew Leonard's to learn about customer service and the way we did things.
Oh, yeah, that was so much fun. It was surreal, honestly, because we're just this little tiny family-owned grocery store in Connecticut, and people were flying over on the Concorde from London twice a year. There was a gentleman, his name was Tony Mosley. He was such a gentleman, and he and his wife would bring a bunch of business people from the United Kingdom over, and they'd want to be, their whole point was to be at Stew Leonard's and to have a tour. there were hundreds of tourists from Japan who would come regularly, and you could do a whole podcast on just the types of things that happen when people were visiting. We literally gave a rock away to every single tourist. Our rock is all over the world. All over the world. It was so cool. And they were like so captivated by the one-way aisle, which, looked like and was spoken of as marketing genius in one of Tom Peters' books. But honestly, I was there, and it happened all by happenstance. You start with a little tiny store that's only selling a couple of items, and then you add on the way we did piecemeal, and you kind of get the end result of that marketing genius.
Yeah. I know. I probably get that comment almost every day in the store. Like, it's so smart and so genius how the aisles and the one-way aisles. I do get a lot of negative comments about trying to go backwards.
Yes,
People are like, how am I going to go back?
But Andrew, from a customer perspective,
really
customer service perspective, we're all facing the same way. Right? The customers are facing the same way. They're coming towards you. So they're approaching animation. They can look forward to what's coming around the corner. And as team members, we can place ourselves so that we're always facing them with demos, with service, with whatever it might be. So as much as it is a different experience, that's what we want to be. We want to be a shopping experience. We just don't want to be like everyone else.
Yeah. And so you started as a cashier, and now you're the person in HR who teaches customer service to new team members, really. And I want to know from you, I know you have some stories to tell us, but what does this rock mean? Because we can have it at the front door, but how do you walk the walk?
Well, the challenge is to make sure that it's part of the experience from the time you apply for a job, come to your orientation. Like no one who's looking for a job just comes in and goes directly to the fish department or directly to a cashier position. They need to go through an interview that is the questions that we gear towards applicants are about service standards, about striving for quality, about do they like people. We want to pick the right people. And then we want to make sure that they understand the stories behind it. So we tell the family stories during orientation. And we explain what STEW is, because it's a much different experience to work here than it is to shop here. Because when you're shopping here, your kids are having a great time, and you're just picking up the items you like, and you're having the demos. And when you're working here, you're hearing the Farm Fresh 5 over and over and over again.
That's part of the song we sang, by the way, everyone, in the beginning.
You're cleaning up after the demos, and you're making sure there's no toothpicks or papers on the floor, and you're really upholding all of the Stew Leonard standards. So that's really part of what my job has been, and I've been very proud to represent Stew Leonard and his family, all of you, all these years, because I'm able to walk the walk because you guys do, and your dad and your mom and your grandpa did, and so I was taught, and I could see that it was a real thing. It was not just we're saying this so we can get some attention.
Yeah. And we've done that, definitely. We were a Fortune 100 company for 10 years in a row.
10 years in a row.
An amazing work culture, but we also have an amazing shopping experience, like you said. And so tell us a story that comes to mind about customer service where you think you've learned the most lessons of how to make the customer feel right and be right and walk out of the store with a smile, because I know there's something about a chicken. Yes.
Oh, there's a couple of really good ones. Well, that's a story that goes way back to the 80s, so that's kind of a fun story. We're written up about all of this, and then everybody wants to test you, and now we've had decades of customers coming in and tested. So I'm just going to reel us back way into the 80s and tell you a story about a customer who she was going to have company at her house, and she didn't want to do all the things at home. She didn't want to cook the whole meal. So she was coming to Stew Leonard's in Norwalk, and she was getting all the sides to a roast chicken dinner. And she was buying a Purdue oven stuffer. Now, I don't know if you guys know it, but your grandfather had a huge relationship with Frank Purdue. He came to visit. We had more oven stuffers than any other store.
The King of Chicken.
Yeah, yeah. It was
actually
yeah.
named the
It
King
was
of
actually
Chicken.
thrilling. It was thrilling to meet him and see him from all his commercials. Well, anyway, this is a Purdue oven stuffer story.
Okay.
So the customer buys the oven stuffer. She's going to cook it in her oven, so the aroma and the authenticness of the meal comes out of the oven, but she's getting the potatoes and the gravy and the rolls and everything from the store. Excuse me. So she quickly gets all of her stuff, and she gets home, and she gets really frustrated, very angry actually, because now she can't find the chicken. And it's on her receipt, she bought the chicken. Oh, she gets back in the car and she comes to customer service and she is mad. I bought a chicken and it wasn't in the bag. What's the matter with you folks? I thought the customers, what kind of service is this? I get all the way home and I got company coming and it takes 3 hours to cook an oven stuffer roaster, and now my company's coming in. Well,
and there's no chicken.
And there's no chicken. So we made it right. We gave her a chicken. We actually gave her gift certificates for her next shopping experience. I believe it was twice the amount of chicken cost. It was like $20 in gift certificates. So flowers, we did everything. She was really mad, and we did everything we could to make it right.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt the story, but let's just pause for 1 second. How do you get to that point where you're like, this is what you do when a customer comes back mad without a chicken? How do you know what to do to make them happy? And how do you have kind of that authority?
Okay. So, that's kind of, you're talking about people feeling like they're empowered. They're empowered to make decisions. And I think it's super important that all of our team members, whether they've been here 3 weeks or 30 years, that they have the confidence to know that we empower them to make good decisions when it's based on customer. So if you see a customer's kid drop their ice cream cone, you, 3 weeks in, can go and get an ice cream cone. You can be courteous. You can do that. You're not going to get in trouble for that. It's really, really important that we all represent Stew Leonard's in a way that shows great service. So what is the point that it happens? Well, if it's like a kid loses a balloon, a kid drops an ice cream cone, it's immediate. That's a nothing. If it's something that makes you feel uncomfortable as a team member, you're not sure if the story jives, you don't really know what to do, you don't work in that department, it involves more than a few dollars, and you're not going to give your money, although people have done that in the past, covered it and told the story. You partner with someone, the store manager, the team leader, customer service,
and I think
they'll make it right.
That's where the experience comes in from, people like yourself and who have been here for so long. And I mean, how many times, you've probably seen every scenario. Yeah. You think you have. I mean, you probably haven't, but you've probably seen every single scenario possible in terms of like, can you talk about the Christmas tree?
Sure.
Wait, we have to finish the chicken.
Oh, okay.
So because this is a good story. This is a really good story. Long story short, my kids are going to hear this podcast and go, "Ma, you tell such a long story."
No, I interrupted you.
Okay. So the customer goes home with the chicken, and we don't know how it all ends up, but a couple of weeks later, a letter comes in to Stew Leonard Sr., and he opens it up, and 2 gift certificates fall out, and it looks like it's going to be a bad day because they're giving back money, right? They're just like, but when he opens the letter and he reads it, she tells the story of, I was having company, all the things I've told you. I was not very nice. As a matter of fact, I think I was rude. And I came in and I said, it's your fault I don't have my chicken. But I just got back, the letter said, I just got back from the auto body shop, and they explained to me where that awful smell was coming from in the trunk. The chicken had rolled out of the bag and into the wheel well. So she couldn't, in her rush, couldn't see it, and it was rotting in her car for the last few weeks. And she returned the gift certificates, and she said, not only are you my favorite store? But you really do stand behind that rock. And I was wrong. I'm giving you back your gift certificates. I'm a customer for life.
Wow. I think those words
I
are
love
what,
that.
yeah, customer for life. Those are the words that you love hearing.
You dream
obviously,
of,
you dream
right?
of, yeah.
Sure.
And for the most part, like, I mean, you have to give people the benefit of the doubt, and most people are good. 99.9% of people are good. There's a few bad apples out there, but at the end of the day, like, people are just good. They want their food. They want good service, and if you provide that, and you if a problem happens and you fix it, then you
Andrew,
get those
you are
customers for
speaking
life.
your grandfather's language, because the way he says that is, listen, we know this is a challenge. And, I listened to your podcast a couple of sessions ago when Chase, when your dad was here, and he said, listen, they're not always right. But the truth is that you want to build your training and your traditions around the 99% of the good and honest and great customers that shop our stores. And you don't want to say, well, we're not doing that anymore because 1% take advantage of us. Right. I promise you 1% have been taking advantage of us forever. But that's not, you can't build
That's
your
not
rules
what we're
around that.
operating off of, yeah.
We're operating on the positive and the good and the want to make sure they come back. They bring their friends, they bring their family, they bring their children, they dance in the aisles with the music.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah. Okay, now Andrew's
Okay.
really anxious to hear about
I want to hear about the Christmas tree.
It's true. It's happened several times, but the most stunning, when we first started selling Christmas trees, when we got into that business, and first of all, it's a perfect fit for Stew Leonard's because we want to be part of the customer's holiday experience, and we want to be part of their meals. We want to, what better thing could someone say but your tree is beautiful. Where did you get it? We got it at Stew's. Your meal is delicious. Where did you get it? We catered through Stew Leonard's, or I always buy my holiday products at Stew Leonard's. That's like a dream come true for a family business. So it's a great fit that we sell Christmas trees. So we sell them, and then we're at customer service in the slow part of the year, January, and a person approaches the customer service desk, and he says, with giving a receipt, and I do believe there was a dead brown branch involved, and he said, my Christmas tree died, and I want my money back. And of course, your reaction is, all the Christmas trees are dead, sir. It's January, but that's not what you say. Right. And when he was able to tell his story, he said it died prior to his holiday celebration, but he didn't have time to come to see us. And we could have said, that seems a little bit unreasonable, but that's not what we did. We said, you know what? Let me make up a voucher for you. And we made it up on the spot for a free tree next year. We're sorry that you were disappointed, because we do want to be a positive part of your family's holiday experience. And what did it hurt? Right. What did it hurt? Yeah. Exactly. We sell 10,000 trees, and this guy's tree's dead. We need to give him a free tree. We're going to bring him back next year.
Yeah.
The bigger point of that story is, what is he saying when he goes home?
Yes.
Yeah, I have one other customer service story if we have time. That from way back in the day. Fire away. Yeah, there was a story that just always resonated with me, because a lady came in, and still what was true then is still true now, and I think that's. Some people say, "Oh, that was back in the day, and people weren't the way they are now," or that doesn't work in the current day. But that's not true. We're not reinventing any wheels here. We're selling food, we're selling service, and people always got to eat. They're always going to drink. They're always going to want to have a friendly place to shop. So this is the story. Lady comes to the catering department, and she wants to cater an event for 30 people. She's expecting 30 people. It's kind of like an open house. And so she's not really sure how many people are going to be there. So the first thing she says is, what do you recommend? I love your lasagna. I would like to go with like a lasagna as the main course and then all the sides. What do you recommend? And the catering person, questioned, how many people are going to be there, and kind of did the catering math like anybody would. She said, well, you're going to need 3 trays of lasagna. And the woman immediately said, well, that's way too much. There's no way I'll need 3 trays of lasagna. No, I'll get 1 tray of lasagna and all the other sides. And the catering person, as they should, said, well, you know, the recommendation would be 3, and kind of gave the math on how to slice the lasagna and how many plates of lasagna that would be. No, way too much. I'm sure I'm right. Way too much. So they set the date, and the lady came and picked up the order, and she had her open house. And in the middle of the open house comes a phone call to customer service to the caterer. Panicked. Oh my gosh, 30 people showed up. I don't have near enough, and I need hot lasagna. And I need it here as soon as possible. She's just devastated that she made this error. What are you going to do? So we heat up lasagna. We drive it to the open house. And so she's party saved. Okay? Yeah. Long story of this is she was a realtor in Westport. And she was having an open house, for all the other realtors, and the long and the short of the story is, what do you think they were talking about at that open house when we showed up with? Because obviously,
not the house.
Yeah, exactly. It was exactly lasagna, customer service, Stu Leonard's. How that's really, and how many people do realtors interact with? And new people to the neighborhood, new people in our neighborhoods. We want them to know about us.
Right.
It was just, you could not have paid for better advertisement than that great service story.
And like, we would have done that regardless of if this person was a real estate agent or just having a party. And so I think from all these stories you've told so far, the lesson really is, you never know who that customer is going to tell.
You never know.
Because if you win them over, you're winning over ultimately their whole network of people.
It's so true. And ultimately, you want to treat everyone the way you would like to be treated. Yeah. I mean, it really goes down to that. But, sometimes it's really super easy when you see a customer during the holiday times. They got a big, giant cart full of things, and you can see, oh, ring, ring, that's a big order, and that's... we want to be really nice to that person. But the person next to them that's only getting 1 or 2 things, that might be their 3rd visit. I mean, I've worked at the fish department every December for 40 years, and I promise you, they come back every day.
So true, yeah.
So true. So don't fall into the niche of they don't have a full cart, because they're here. Yeah. We need to make our impression while they're here.
Yeah.
I think I really like what you said before about just the fact that customer service, it changes, but it doesn't, the roots of customer service don't change.
Yeah.
It's not like a trend that like goes out of style at some point.
Right.
Like, the fact of being nice and treating the customers just how you want to be treated, with respect and giving them the benefit of the doubt, it doesn't change. Right. That's engraved in throughout your career here, and since the store started. Right. Like, that's never changed.
And it never will change, please and thank you, and how can I help you, and can I help you find something when someone looks confused. No one likes being an invisible person. I mean, I know, we all know what it's like to go into a store, regardless of what they're selling, and not be able to find anyone to help you, or not know where something is. We're famous for moving things, so, we should be on the lookout for people who look confused, but really, we need to make sure it's our responsibility. And I mean every single one of us. It's not the people who've been here the longest, or the people who have titles or anything like that. It really is our responsibility to make sure we're bringing up through our ranks, from higher through whatever college, high school, and beyond, people who are courteous and who like people.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool too, because I know we've told a lot of stories about when the customer has like an unhappy experience and how we handle that. But it's also just from the second you walk into the door, and we talked about this in our other episode, is Stu's is a really happy, fun place to go shop at. And a lot of it is the people there and the experience. And so it's not just when the customer has a problem. It's the whole experience of walking through the store, the please and the thank you, as you said, the free samples, the dancing animation shows. Yeah. Like, it's fun in there.
Yeah.
And you're having
the fact that the
time.
People who work there like to work with each other.
Yes.
Like, that can be seen. That can be seen. That can be felt. The camaraderie, having a great place to work really creates a great place to shop. And it's something we have to work on all the time. I mean, are we great every single minute of every single day? No, we're the real world too. But we are willing to put the effort in to improve. And that speaks to the striving for excellence and quality. So super, super important.
Okay, so Wendy, we want to show you a photo.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, can I have a drink of water first?
Yes, of course. Okay, we want to show you this photo. This came from a customer. Andrew, you want to explain it?
Okay.
We
So,
wanna Okay, this is our segment of what would Wendy do.
Okay, what would Wendy do?
what would Wendy do? Okay. Customer comes into one of our Newington locations. We reached out to some of our VPs and we asked for some funny stories that they have. Okay. So it was a shoplifter. He stole a few things and got busted.
Yes.
He went into the bathroom and tried to conceal some things, and then on his way out, he was confronted by the security. So as he was confronted by the security guards, he fell to the ground and pretended like he had passed out.
Okay.
So this is the picture.
He wanted to get away from the situation.
So this is the photo.
Oh my God.
We're gonna put it up on the screen for
play.
this YouTube video.
So I mean, now.
This is a guy, just for anyone listening, a customer who is literally in the door frame of the bathroom face down.
The door's cracked open. He's pretending to be passed out on the floor so he doesn't get in trouble.
Okay. He's in trouble. Okay,
What
would Wendy
What would Wendy do?
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that is clearly not a customer.
Okay.
That is clearly not a customer. We know immediately that security has verified, and we know what he has done. So that's the 1% stinker. So the first thing I would do is I would make sure that he was okay, and I mean I'd call for help. He's a human being. I mean, he's made a bad mistake and we've caught him.
Right.
But he's not a customer.
Right.
Yeah. So treat him with respect, and if security has to call the police or escort him out or whatever it is. If you're uncomfortable with what's happening in front of you and you don't have a what would Wendy do or a chaser or go get someone who is managing that store to partner with you, because truly that's kind of above most people's heads. But treat them with respect. He's not a customer.
Okay, next one.
Yes, I'm ready.
What would Wendy do? A customer comes back with a broken toaster oven. They put one of our bagels into the toaster oven. It caught on fire, and the toaster broke. Now, our bagels didn't indicate that they could potentially break a toaster oven, so she wants us to buy her a new toaster oven, and it costs $28. What would Wendy do?
The toaster oven's $28?
Yes,
She must have bought it way back in the day.
Yes.
The first thing that I would do is have a long conversation with her, and tell me the story. What did you do? I think that part of all customer service is building relationships, right? And so it's not about immediately dismissing this person. It's about letting her tell her story and really listening to it. And, depending on how good you are at conversation, it might be possible to turn that around a little bit and have her start to admit that she's had it for 50 years. It cost $28 in 1962, and we might come to a place where we can just give her a gift certificate, maybe more than a bagel's worth.
Okay.
But sometimes it's a test. I have a story about a test. Okay. So way back in the 80s, when Stew Leonard's was becoming very, very renowned, and Ripley's Believe It or Not was going on the outside of the building and all of that, I was at the customer service desk. Those pictures of me where I have the blazer on many years ago, that was customer service desk. And I had a lady come up to the customer service desk, and I can't remember what she was complaining about, but it was like a circular conversation. She was saying she didn't like something. I was asking her questions. She was telling me I was being rude. I was saying, I just want to clarify what it is that we can do to help you. Then she'd say something else, and then she'd say, well, you're not treating me very nicely. It was really kind of a loop that I didn't understand. So finally I said to her, I'm sure we were at least 10 minutes in. Yep. I said, truly, honestly, I'm trying to help you, but I really do not understand what it is that you would like me to do. How about you tell me what you think Stew Leonard should do, and then we'll see if we can come up with something reasonable. And she said to me, well, I want to tell you that you're just you're amazing in your people skills, because I work for the Fair Press newspaper, which was a local newspaper. Yeah, and she was coming trying to push us
Right.
Wow.
to see if we would or would not uphold the rock. It was very unreasonable. I was feeling very uncomfortable. But my response was just to put it back. Please tell me what you would like.
Yeah.
What is it that you want?
Okay. Yeah.
And
Wow.
she didn't want anything.
She just wanted an article.
She wanted you to crack.
Yeah, she wanted you to crack. Exactly. Okay, so there's a nicely dressed man who comes in to shop at the store. He's at checkout, and the cashier notices a little bit of blood dripping down the side of his head, and is like, "Sir, are you okay?"
Is he wearing a hat?
Yeah, he's wearing a hat, and and I think you know this one. And he insists he's fine, but the cashier is worried and calls a store manager over. And the store manager comes over to try to help him with the blood coming down, and turns out somehow his hat falls off and a pot roast comes rolling out. Yes. So he was trying to steal a pot roast in his hat.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to compliment.
Very unusual. What
Very
would you
unusual.
do?
Yes. There have been a lot of stories about covering things up or whatever. So the few things that I would suggest as a long-term team member of Stew Leonard's, I want to compliment the cashier and the store manager in the situation, because we never crossed the line of embarrassing. What if there really was, it was not a theft situation, right? Because remember, theft is not a customer.
Yeah.
Theft is theft. There's just no other way about that. But customers going through the line, they're paying for the cheap stuff, and he's trying to take something. So the cashier thought something was wrong and wanted to help, or maybe he or she, the cashier, knew what was going on, but the only way to do that correctly is to call for help, right? So you call for help, you get the help, and then that person with more authority can handle that more appropriately than a cashier could, and I'm sure they did.
But what would you have done when the pot roast
Well,
fell out
I
of the
probably
hat?
would have had to turn my head a little bit.
So these are
Yes.
So these are all true stories.
They're all true.
Yeah, these are
it's
true
all
stories.
true. Yes.
The toaster oven was actually a true story that we heard from Stu.
Yeah.
I guess it was back in the day because it was $28,
Yeah,
but he just told us that one this morning. But
And
there's
it would have been
there's so many
There's
things.
So many strange things that people do, but really, truly, even great customers are strange sometimes.
Yeah.
People
I'm
who spend a
strange
lot of money. I'm
sometimes,
strange
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
mean, we heard another one this morning about a guy who put a salami down his pants
Yes.
and tried to walk
I
out.
heard that, yeah.
And so Elaine at the time had to go confront the guy and ask him if he had anything that he wanted to,
There is a joke within HR, and all of the people who've worked in HR throughout all the years say that there's a book that we're writing, and you just can't make this stuff up.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it is incredible when you're dealing with people, all of the things that can and will happen. If you think about even just when you send an innocent person out to do a demo on a Saturday or a Sunday, busy time, busy store, how many times the same person might loop around to get that demo, how many times they might loop around, and that, and you really want to make sure that team member doesn't feel like they have to defend the demo, right? That the demo's there to be given away for free so that everyone can taste it. And again, 99 people are walking by having a taste and going, oh my God, I have to buy that mozzarella, or I have to get that meatball. Have you ever tried that strawberry? Whatever it is, we need to stick. It's fun to keep track of the funny stories, but it's also never to lose yourself in the fact that, they're probably not the reason why you want to make a policy, or not the reason why you don't want to put a big sign. You don't want to move the rock away from the front door and say that that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
We just have to adjust our reaction.
Yeah. Okay, so we're focusing on the 99.
Yes, we sure are.
Of our
We're focused on
customers.
Even when there's those things happening.
Yeah.
Well,
And we have things in place throughout the stores that help to combat that. It's not like we're not foolish retailers. We have one-way traffic, and that's one of the best ways to make sure everyone's facing in that same direction. So if something is odd, you notice if something is odd.
Yeah.
You know, and we have people placed in the store who are looking for things that are not usual,
Yeah.
so that we can have a rock at the front door and we can have great service,
Yeah.
so that the people who need to be managed are managed properly and respectfully.
Wendy, thank you.
thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much.
Thanks for sharing all your
It's my
wisdom.
pleasure.
We grew up with you as little
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
in the store. And, I mean, your name should be Wendy Leonard at this point. It really is.
That's all
Yeah,
right. I'll
honorary.
stick with Mariah, but
You can put your middle name.
yes, okay.
Yeah.
But just thank you so much. I know you're retiring in a couple weeks. And
Yes.
It's bittersweet, but
Yeah.
you know, you're really what Stu Leonard's is all about.
Yeah, Stu Leonard's is in my heart, and I love you both dearly, and thank you for letting me be part of the legendary podcast.
Yes. Thank you for
So
taking on.
exciting. All right, we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Thank
Thanks, Wendy.
Don't mind me just sipping on my swoon.
This episode is brought to you by Swoon Iced Tea. It's 0 sugar, monk fruit, sweetened, dad approved.
It's delicious.
Delicious.
And I love it too because it's 2 female founders.